Listen, love to one and all. I am blessed love to one and all is Honorable Prince Prosper, Honorable Jar Prosper, you know. Basically, this is the first of the series of videos that I am gonna be uploading from now on. The series of videos is basically titled The Chronicles of a Rising Youth. Chronicles of a Rising Youth. This is basically our version of hashtags Lives Matter, but our hashtag is going Young Lives Matter. Hashtag like Young Lives Matter, So the focus basically of this series of discussion, is based on the youths, not just the youth, but the rising of the youth thereof. We're living in a critical age, called, the information age, not the knowledge age. We don't know anything, but we're quite informed about things, So this video here, as an introduction to a series of other videos, aims to introduce to you the concept, the vision that has come up, to me, and sort of inspired me to sort of start, the series of videos with the hope that, it shall contribute, to a number of youths, out there in the world, in terms of gaining perspective, and also in the same way help me also gain perspective, to the matters that you're being faced with as a youth in this time, because we're living in a critical time in this time, whereby, the youth is both the most important, at the same time the most threatened, of all humankind, So as a youth, let me start with the title of this series of videos. The title, The Chronicles of a Rising Youth, it has come from, chronicles in the sense that this is going to be, a series. Chronicles, secondly, because we as a youth, we go through things, not simultaneously, but from one stage to the next, chronically, So my aim here is to reflect on how, we as a youth, go through these stages, sort of reflect to my own experiences, that I've went through, as a person, as a young person, young black person in Africa, young black person in this world of ours, on this planet Earth, young black person in South Africa, young black person in Cape Town, Khayelitsha, a township, a ghetto, So I'm trying to narrow down, my perspective, my context, as I'm coming with, this perspective as it concerns, the experience of the youth, because this is the main, concern of this series of videos, the experience of the youth, in terms of rising against the obstacles which the system puts against us, because we know we have ancestors, we have predecessors, that have experienced the harshness of the system in terms of how they've been, restricted, by many forms, of oppression, like apartheid here in South Africa, colonialism all over the world, in the, Jim Crow laws, we name them, so those were the experiences of our predecessors, in this time, we don't necessarily have apartheid as it was, we don't have Jim Crow laws as they were, we don't have, all those, as they were, we still have their neo versions or their new versions, yet this does not mean we're free, from struggle as our parents were, So we're living in a time that is completely different from that of our predecessors. We have technology, we have, which sort of makes our situation better in another sense, at the same time worse in another sense. So to wrap things up, my intention for uploading this series of videos basically is to basically provide a platform, for the range, of people, that are within my reach, and to sort of provide my perspective into these matters. At the same time, gain perspective, from my fellow youth, because when I say youth, I'm not necessarily referring to us black youth. I'm referring to all of us as a youth. That's how open-minded I want this to be. Of course, we as a black, because I am a black youth, and I'm a pro-black youth, our main, we as a black youth, of course, we take priority. We are the main concern is the black youth, of course. Because I am a black youth, a pro-black youth, as I said. So basically, to wrap things up again, as I said, what we want, is to basically provide our perspective, because I, as a black youth, I'm not just a black youth, as you can see, I'm a Bobo youth, a Rasta youth, black youth, conscious youth, So it is therefore my role, as a man who's been inspired, give thanks to the honorables, all over the world, Bobo Shanti honorables, take their time to teach I and to actually bring, forward, these sacred teachings that our Father have, given, to man in the world, So we give thanks, even to the Honorable Prince Emmanuel, give thanks, to the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, glorify same way to the Honorable King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering land of the tribe of Judah, the great Amlak Menelik, glorify and give thanks, Kadamawi, Abba Janoi, Haile Selassie, the first of Ethiopia, together with the Queen of Queens, Yashima Bet, and I asked for Isaiah the first, for without them, and I could not exist in this time, I remember in one of the videos, the Honorable Priest Isaac said, Mussolini them, Satan from Italy, they wanted to make boots out of iron skin as black Ethiopians, So if it wasn't for His Majesty, I wouldn't be walking here, let alone being in this room. This is a room, of a university. I'm as a university student here at the UWC, University of the Western Cape, in Cape Town, So if it wasn't for His Majesty and all the people that His Majesty worked with, I wouldn't be here as a black youth in the university, having his own room. No. A black youth will be out there somewhere. Maybe a white man will be walking with my skin on his feet now. So that's how His Majesty is crucial to I. So without His Majesty, I would be nothing, as the man say. Without the prophet, there will be no vision. So glorified for the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. When say without the priest, there will be no ceremonial order. So same way, give thanks, for the Honorable priest, who come without a father, without a mother, King Melchizedek in flesh, King Emmanuel, Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. So same way, give thanks to the King of Kings, for without the King, there will be chaos, So glorify and give thanks to the Creator of the skies and seas. Glorify God in three persons, prophet, priest, and king. Glorify God in His fullness, Father, Mother, and Child, So give thanks, for information, not only information, but knowledge, about Africa, African epistemology, as they would put it in academic realms, our own understanding, our own perspective, of, the world, even of the universe. For man say, His Majesty say, Marcus Mosiah basically say, we need to see the world, with our own, black spectacles, praise our own God with our own black spectacles. So this is basically one of those visions, to sort of manifest those visions, because the man said in this time there will be many Marcuses. So I and I must strive to manifest such visions, for our ancestors, because without our ancestors, I and I wouldn't be here. So therefore, we should glorify this man and man, by basically continuing with their works where they left off, because those man and man come, to put, a foundation for I and I, even as much as to say Africa awaits, its creators. Who are its creators? I and I, black youth, African, here at home and abroad, remember. The mission of Bobo, the principle of Bobo is freedom, redemption, international repatriation. International repatriation, therefore, means emancipation, with compensation, basically returning, of the diaspora, outside of Africa, back to Africa, So this is not a dream. This is a goal, a goal that has been set, a goal that is being acted upon, action-wise, This is an international agenda, in international courts. I'm not very, informed when it comes to those levels of understanding in terms of international courts, but this is what I know, that repatriation is one of the main agendas, when it comes to international levels of discussion when it comes to bringing about justice and the so-called new world order, but that is quite too far away from what we gonna be focusing on here. But that is not to say we gonna be restricted to anything, because our main focus here is the youth, and then anything else that affects the youth, because it can be youth versus health, youth versus economy, youth versus politics, youth versus society, youth versus, diseases, which is also under health, youth versus, a lot of things, youth versus, peer pressure, youth versus, sexual, problem or sexual orientation, or youth versus sex, just like that. Or youth versus, a lot of things. We can basically pick up anything, in a world that affects the youth in some way or another, directly or indirectly, because here, what we are creating is a platform for youth, conscious youth, because you go into those YouTubes, and all these sites, all you find is black people talking. If it's female, is female is talking about their makeup. If it's male is talking about commenting on, something that is happening on TV or something else, not young people taking time to sort of give an ear to other people, give a platform to other young people, because we all are young people. No one else can give a platform that is gonna resonate with I and I, except for another youth, that knows our struggle, that sort of sees things from our very own perspectives, because an older person will see things from the view of an old person. A younger person will see things from the perspective of a younger person's, So we as a youth in this time, who are in our 20s, which means we're in a critical age whereby we feel like we're under pressure of sort of producing something of our lives, and if you fail to do that, then we're done, because I've met a number of people that have told me that they feel this way, that once you're in your 20s, you feel like you only got a span of 10 years to make sure that you make it in life, because once you reach your 30 without having done anything in your life, you're done. That is the chances, given the system that we have in life, given the kind of steps you have to take in order to reach the stage whereby you feel like you've established yourself, the so-called success. When you feel like you secure now, you're self-reliant, that to reach that level of self-reliance whereby you can be able to have your own family, have a wife, produce children, it all starts when you're 20, to be serious at least, because before 20 you're still living with your parents, most of the time. I'm talking about average people like us who don't have millions at their 20, because there's lots of, there's people. I want to make an example, because examples sometimes can be narrowing, the perspective. There's young people who have millions in their 20s. So this is not the kind of youth that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the average youth who grew up in a ghetto like me, who grew up under circumstances that were not favoring them in order to reach a higher state in life, whatever they have. Meaning, I'm talking to conquerors, I'm talking to warriors that have overcome. So I pray that this video here, this series of videos, is gonna reach to the right ears, the people that need actually this kind of energy that I'm bringing out now, the energy of focus, of perseverance, even though circumstances are against us as a youth, even though odds are against us as a youth, especially us youths who are not willing, to let go of who we are, as a black youth, to let go of our culture, to let go of our identity. Us who are not willing to compromise our identity for the sake of fitting in, us who at the same time are not willing to restrain and sit back simply because we feel like we're not accommodated into the system. Us who want to go in there and be part of the mainstream, even though we're not part of the mainstream, and be in the mainstream though we are not part of the mainstream. Look here, I'm in a university. There's thousands of students here, yet to never find one of them being a Rasta, a Rasta with a turban, strictly Bobo. You never find one of them. There's only 2 of us here in this varsity. There's 20-something students in this varsity, yet I am the only one who's the registered Bobo Shadi student. The other one was registered last year. Today, as we speak, is not registered, simply because of the pressures you face when you're in spaces like this, based on how different you are, from your other fellow youths. So basically, these are the kind of things that we want to cover up in this video. The Chronicles of a Rising Youth. What does it mean to be a rising youth? Because this terminology of rising is usually used in Rastafari. If you are familiar with Rastafari, you will know this. That we say a rising youth is someone that is converting from whatever culture or way of life to that of a Rastaman. So we say that person is rising because Rastafari is a state of higher consciousness. So whenever or whoever is changing, from whatever kind of life to that of a Rastaman is actually rising, elevating their consciousness from that which was lower in terms of their understanding to that which is higher. That's why Rastafari sort of uses terminology like overstand instead of understand, because I and I are of higher understanding. But this does not mean I and I are egoistic, being, or our culture is based on ego or seeing ourselves as being higher than other people. It simply means I and I are people that delight, in being knowledgeable, because that's where power lies. Knowledge is power. They say, So at the same time, it takes wisdom for one to have knowledge, and the Bible says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Therefore, I suppose for one to have wisdom, they must fear Jah, and for one to have knowledge, they must have wisdom. So it is Jah that causes us to be of higher consciousness, because Jah gives us wisdom and knowledge and power. And you cannot dispute with me, Rastafari are powerful people. But that is not our basis here, in this video. In this video, we're trying to provide a platform for young youths to express themselves, especially young youths that resonate with this level of thinking, this level of experience, in life, whereby you are a young man, a young black man, proud and conscious of his roots, proud and conscious of his culture, yet living in a system that is against all of that, that is practically designed to be against that kind of people that do not want, for example, to consume food, you see, that has been created to kill people. The main ills that the right honorable priest Kailash, talks about, the main ills, the kind of use that is conscious, of such, kind of things, the food that the system produces for us, simple so that we can decay or decompose while we're living. That's what cancer is all about, right? Decomposing while you're living, So, how do you live as a youth, in a world like that? A world that is designed against you as a black youth, So this is a video that seeks to provide a platform for such a people, a platform of discussion, a platform of expression, because we can do many things, but if we now provide a platform for us to sort of brainstorm, as I would say, our ideas, sort of bring them to the table, and see what storm, comes out of that, so maybe we can send lightning and thunder upon this system of Babylon, if you brainstorm, so because we as a youth, we need conferences, we need lectures just as a youth, we need discussion panels, as a youth, simple to address, our concerns, because elders, those who have brought us here, our mother, our grandmothers, our elder brothers and sisters, they all have done their role when they were here, or while they are still here, and we are going to be left with a world whereby I'm talking, my peers already have children. I'm 23 years old. Some of my peers already have children. That means we're already getting old, our generation, that is in the 20 plus something, we're already getting old. We're already parents, some of us, we already at a stage whereby we cannot cry that our parents are not supporting us. We're at a stage whereby we can rely on ourselves, so that means, our time is now, our time to make sure that we claim our role. We don't blame anyone anymore, because if we don't start now, if we don't come together as a youth, and I'm not talking about the youth that is now Europeanized in their minds, the youth that now see themselves, as individualistic beings, the ones that simply want the Mercedes Benz, Lamborghini, all that, I'm talking about the youth that realizes that, we as a black people are one people, that whatever effort you make in terms of making it in life, you're not doing it simple for your own good. You're doing it for the good of other people. Firstly, for the good of your own family, nuclear family, your mother, your father, your siblings, and your cousins. You have to be there for them. They need your help, and then if the context grows larger and larger, your community, your town, your province, your country, your continent, in Africa, and then the global perspective now. Our globe, the earth, is also our responsibility. I may be as young and insignificant as this, but I have a role that I can play in terms of changing how people deal with the universe, even understand the universe, and that will be a role that if all of us can partake on, the world can become a better place. I'm not coming here to be idealistic or something. I'm just coming here to try and be a practical person, because discussion, first of all, discussion is the first level of practicality. Even when I was studying business studies in high school, they used to say the first step towards solving a problem, a business problem in that context, is first identifying the problem. You see, so to identify a problem, it takes observation, it takes, verbal, if there's now more than one person involved in observing the problem and identifying the problem, it takes verbal discussion between the people, discussing your observations, you see, of the problem, you see. So here, as we're speaking, we're trying to identify a problem because we know there is a problem. We do have problems as a youth because the odds, economically, politically, spiritually, institutionally, the odds are all against us, are against our own production, our progress as a youth. Instead of being given the platforms that shall enhance our understanding of selves, as who we are given platforms that sort of give us an illusion of who we are. Exactly that not so long ago we had a system of education that was called Bantu or Bantu education, which was specifically meant to retrograde black people. So in this time, as I've said before, that we don't have none of those things now, but we have their neo versions. So I feel like even today we still have a neo version of the Bantu education. But that is not, I'm not here to bring about problems, but to those problems that we already see as a youth, I'm here to bring about a platform for